Hey all, Board Game Rants here, where you will find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. This is my take on Clans of Caledonia from a solo gamer perspective, not a multiplayer. I've really not played it fully multiplayer. This game is by Juma Jojo. Apologize, it looks a little like that guy on the top there. And apologize for butchering that. Published by Karma Games. And you know, I'm probably not going to review games that I don't like, so just putting that out there. And again, this is from a solo-minded person, and I do play games multiplayer, but this one has been all solo. And so a few things that I want to touch on with a review like this. Thematically, theme has a big, you know, some games it matters a lot to me, some games it doesn't, and in this one it doesn't. Clans of Caledonia, it's got some cool stuff in the back of the booklet that I found interesting about the clans. I like how the clans have different powers, and it kind of ties in with their history, which I thought was pretty clever. But that's about it thematically. Other than that, it's just kind of a good looking board. You know, the theme, there wasn't much to it, and there didn't need to be, in my opinion, because the mechanics were the big winner here. And if you've ever played games like Terra Mystica or Scythe or Gaia Project, which just came out, and that was the same. It's like, you know, Terra Mystica in outer space. And the very general mechanic is, or the main one, is you've got your player board and you've got a bunch of pieces on there covering up stuff on your player board, and then the game is about taking bits off of your board, putting them on a main board out there that everybody can play on. As you do that, you uncover and unlock little production abilities and special powers and stuff like that. And that's the gist of the game and how you build yourself up. And another great mechanic, though, with this game that differs from those others that I mentioned is that there's a market to it. And there's this market that fluctuates, because ultimately what you're looking to produce are goods to be able to fill these contracts that require certain things like some cheese and some whiskey, and you're going to export that, and in that way you fulfill that contract, and then you get goodies for doing that. So that's a main way that you're going to score in this game is by generating goods, and you can buy them or sell them at the market as well, and then fulfilling these contracts. And another big way that you're going to score is it's sort of an area control type game where you're putting stuff out, but it's nice. It's not mean. It's nice. You're kind of putting stuff out on this board and spreading out, and in that way you're able to produce whatever you can specialize in certain things. Your clan is going to kind of dictate that too, and depending on how you spread out, if you do it right, you can score pretty big at the end of the game. But it isn't about taking over. You can have what looks like just massive, you've just got things everywhere, but if they're not tied together the right way, you're not going to score on it. So it's kind of clever and a little confusing, but once you get it, I think it's you kind of just get it. So the variability on this game is tremendous. It has to do with the fact that when you set up, you pick one of the 9 clans. Well, you actually draw 2 and you got to pick one. And then when you pick those, you get to look, you get a starting goods tile with it as well that's random. So there's that start to it. When you build the board that everyone can play on, there's actually 4 main pieces that you can flip over. They're double-sided, and so in that way there's 16 different boards you can end up playing on out there. And then on that board you're going to be putting what are called ports, which are variable, and on those ports they're going to go on the 4 corners of the game, and if you can reach them as you expand, they allow you to enhance some of your actions. So those are variable. You play over 5 rounds, and so each round there's a little end scoring opportunity. Those are variable. So lots of things change at each game as it goes around, and so so I enjoy that. That is what makes the game interesting, because each time it's sort of like a little puzzle you got to figure out. It's sort of all laid out there. You know what clan you're going to be. You know what starting goods you got. You know what the ports are available. You know how you can possibly score at the end of each round, and now how best to optimize that. And length of play is, so there's this juiciness. This whole game is very complete feeling, but you can, from a solo standpoint, it's not a super heavy thinky one. It's not a super, quick one either. It falls right in the middle. I can set this up, play it, put it back within an hour, about an hour. And that's perfect. That sits in such a spot that I probably, that is my most appealing, gameplay right there. That's where I really like to be at. I mean, when I'm in the mood to play something 2-3 hours long, then I've got my games. Gaia Project would be one of those. And then there's other ones where I just want to blast out, set up something, roll and write or something in 20 minutes. So, but this one, an hour, it's from a solo standpoint, it's perfect. The rulebook is great. The rulebook is pretty succinct. It goes through what it needs to go through and doesn't overdo it, doesn't underdo it. It's got some little examples in there. It's just well done. And there's some confusing things. Some of the iconography is a little weird. I have to look it up. I've had to look in the book and it's like, does that really mean that? And it's like, yeah, it still don't quite get it, but okay. And one that comes with some Kickstarter stuff that you have to look online to see if anything's changed, because as people have been playing it, is it messing with the balance? I haven't noticed it ever changing, but that's kind of a weird thing that So anyway, aside from that, the rulebook really explains everything very well. I've not had to go on forums and look up a bunch of stuff on this one. The way the game changes a little bit from multiplayer to solo player is very small. And I like games like that, where it's just not radically different. Because when you're playing multiplayer, and people buy and sell from a market, depending on the market prices of the goods fluctuates. If everybody's buying, well, the price of that thing kind of ratchets up. If everybody's selling, the price of that goes down. Supply and demand kind of thing. I think I had that right. And so the way the game, when you're playing solo, makes use of that is you roll some dice. So at the end of I love just a little, I love rolling dice, and it just scratches that little itch perfect. You just got to roll the dice and it'll fluctuate that market. It'll also take away from, there's a board that has contracts on it, as I was describing, and the various contracts will change as you go through the game, and you pick them up and you fulfill them and stuff, and you reset those at the beginning of each round. And then with the roll of the dice as well, it's going to remove one of those contracts, which helps simulate, dang it, I wanted that one. So, but that's really it. That's how it changes the game versus the multiplayer. And well, I guess if you pass in a multiplayer, depending on when you pass and you're done for the round, you get a little bit more money, depending on what order you pass, and you always pass first, oddly enough. And so you just get a set amount of money when you pass each time, and it's just that easy. And so the game is more, again, it's more of a puzzly thing, because you're going to know everything is all going to be set out. There's going to be really very little in the way of the dice really screwing you over or something. And so it's just up to your kind of skill ability. I'm not very good at this game. I played it many times. I don't score very well in it. And I like that. The scoring type is what I call a grade system. It's gives you a range. Well, if you get here down, try again. If you get here up, you're not very good, but try again. And then it kind of goes up from there. And I like games like that. I like that over, say, games that do here's the, if we consider 110 a good score. And so you try to shoot that. And I've played games like that, and I've hit it on the first time. Now, I probably didn't get the rules right. I probably screwed something up and didn't actually score that high. But because I hit it, it's just like, dang it. I find it hard to pull that game out again, because it was too easy, even though it wasn't. Well, this game, it was some testing that was done, and it's difficult, and it's hard to fit in those to get in those parameters. And I like that. It keeps me coming back for more, because it's just like, I'm gonna get it this time. This time is the time. So scoring type, again, it's not really a beat your own score, but it does have a little grade scale, if you will. There's no opponent here. No AI, to play for, which is probably my most preferred, but this is my second most preferred, and so I have no problem with it. So overall enjoyability, this game, it's just great, and it's going to have a place for a long time from a solo fashion standpoint, and I'll be coming back to it over and over again. It's easy to pop back out and set up and kind of relearn real quick, and because it just seems all the work. It comes with some great player aids too that really help you remember, okay, this is how scoring works, and okay, these are the things that I can do. So it's got great player aids that really just a streamlined game, and so I give it out of 10. I give it an 8.5. You know, this is solid. This is I'm not going to say as good as it gets. It's an 8.5 out of 10. I've definitely played better, and I'll probably get to those at some point. But this one is recommended for any of you guys out there playing solo games. As much as I enjoy them, you would like this. Well, I think so. I think it's it. On Board Game Rants, that's my take on Clans of Caledonia.
Sure.